Welcome to All in Yellow,
the official Norwich City podcast.
No foul, Darren Huckerby. Oh, good finish.
Dan and I welcome Norwich City legend Darren Huckerby to the show this week. He talks to us about when he first joined the club, his controversial departure, coaching at the club's academy and much more. Huck, so good to have you join us on the All in Yellow podcast today. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's good to do a podcast. I've been turning them away for the last 3 months, waiting for lockdown to finish. So, yeah, this is my first one for a while.
Good. Well, we'll take you right back to the very beginning. Was it always the dream to be a footballer?
I would say a dream because not many make it. I come from a kind of rough council estate in Nottingham, so it wasn't on everyone's first choices. But lucky for me, I always had that kind of aim to get there in the end. And lucky, my dad knew somebody at Lincoln, and that got me started really.
What were your early memories of playing for Lincoln?
Well, I can remember at 16, probably 13 or 14 clubs turning me down, so those were too small. So all of my local clubs around me, so Sheffield United, both Nottingham clubs, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, all them kind of teams I went to trial, and they said it was probably too small.
How did that feel?
Not great, considering that that's all you ever wanted to do since you were probably 5 or 6.
You must have still been rapid at that age, though.
I kind of wasn't, to be honest with you. I was really sharp, but I was a bit small. I'm not the tallest now, but I was probably 2 or 3 inches smaller than I am now. So I kind of, not struggled, but I was more of like a fox in the box, Jamie Courtin type of player. He was really sharp. I got 16, 17, grew a couple of inches then.
Yeah, didn't we all?
Got this,
you more than anyone.
Got this ridiculous pace from somewhere.
Oh, that I didn't get.
Yeah. So, and kind of changed my game. So, luckily for me, at Lincoln, my dad knew the youth team manager, which was Keith Alexander, I think late great Keith Alexander, and he gave me a chance. I think I scored 6 in the trial game.
Nice.
And I signed the next day.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Where did the determination come from then? Obviously, you suffered quite a few setbacks on your way to getting that first contract.
I just probably wasn't good at anything else. That probably helped. But I knew I was a good player. You normally are. If you're at that kind of level when you're a bit younger, you're half decent. But there's being half decent, and then there's kind of kicking on to the next level. So you just got to work hard. And hopefully get your chance. And then when you get your chance, you've got to kick on. I scored a lot of goals in the youth team. I think 20 each season. Scored on my debut for the first team.
Wow.
So that's always a good start. I think as soon as you get your start, you take your chance, and then you go from there.
Yeah, and you really did take your chance. And then along came Newcastle, was it after that?
Yeah, I played probably 25 games for Lincoln, and I was told I was either going to go to Man United or Newcastle. So, and we were bottom of the 3rd division at the time.
It's quite a jump.
Yeah, Newcastle were top of the Premier League, and Manchester United were
Just a little
2nd.
bit.
So that was a bit of a culture shock.
How did that feel, knowing that you were in the mix to join one of those clubs?
It was really weird because I was going to play Macclesfield, and then the manager pulled me and said, "Oh, you're not playing today. Kevin Keegan and Arthur Cox are in the stand. You're going to go to Newcastle tonight. A fee's been agreed." Wow. So I didn't even know anything about it. I knew teams were watching, but like anybody, teams are watching, but that don't really mean anything.
So how much say do you get in that? If they say Kevin Keegan's here, you're off later on.
Well, when you play for Lincoln in the 3rd division, you don't get any say.
Of course.
Did you have an agent at that point?
I did have an agent. So obviously he was probably pulling strings behind the scenes. So I stayed at Kevin Keegan's house that night. Wow. The night before I signed,
nice house?
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was on Sir John Knowles' estate. So he had a big estate where there was 4 or 5 houses, I think, and Kevin Keegan had one. So yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock.
Someone else who definitely did apply themselves and you formed a great partnership with was Dion Dublin at Coventry. Obviously, that was a sign of things to come. How did that partnership come about?
Just hard work. Myself and Dion built up people say Coventry's best ever strike partnership, which in a club that's 100 years old is a real big compliment to myself and Dion. We had the perfect kind of game. He was a big, tall centre forward, who won headers and brought people into the game, and I was a quick, rapid one who got onto the end of his flicks. But it was just hard work. At the time, I used to think, what's going on here? Because everyone else would go home, and it would be me and Dion with all the kids in the afternoon working on flick-ons and combinations, and Like I say, it's only when you get to 26, 27 you realise that Strachan was actually trying to make us better, both of us. Because in that season, Dion got an England squad. He finished Golden Boot winner with 18 goals. I got nominated for Young Player of the Year. Dion got nominated for Player of the Year. So for Coventry, that's it's unheard of. So as a season, it couldn't have gone any better, really.
So you talk about Dion getting called up for England. You played for the England B team, didn't you? Why did the senior England side evade you? Why do you think that happened?
At the time, there was a lot of good centre forwards. And also, there was no way 2 players from Coventry were going to get picked at the same time. It just didn't happen like that.
Was it the politics of it?
Not so much politics. I just think that, at that time it was all Man United players, all Arsenal players, or all Chelsea players, whatever it is. There was no. I think they do it a bit different now, where you get players from Bournemouth and players from all, but it just didn't happen. But saying that, there was some unbelievable centre forwards at that time. So you're talking, Fowler, Owen, Wright, Ferdinand, Cole.
So what was the timeline of that? That was the season before.
Season before, yeah.
You finished the season with Forest, obviously lost in the playoffs.
Lost in the playoff, yeah.
And then over that summer, was that when Norwich first started making some contact?
Not really, no. I went back to Man City, didn't know what was going to happen. And then I think I just got a phone call out of the blue saying Norwich are interested.
Did you know anything about Norwich at the time?
Not a thing. I knew it was miles away.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
Especially from Manchester, where I was at Manchester, it's a good 5 hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
On a good day, and that was before they fixed the road. So, it is. At first, I was unsure just because I didn't want to leave my family. But as soon as I got down here and started playing it kind of changed pretty drastically.
I remember reading you saying that I think it was 2 games into your loan spell at Norwich that you knew that Norwich was the team for you. How and why?
I don't really know. It was just kind of weird. I just had this feeling. As soon as I get the ball,
you fitted into the team or the area or the club.
It was very easy fitting into the team because it was a load of hardened pros who knew the game properly. Mm-hmm. So you're talking. Flem, Malke, Big Ewan, Gary Holt, and then you've got a lot of class around that. So you've got Greeny, who ended up being an unbelievable goalkeeper. Yeah. Eddie, who knew the championship. You had Ads, who best left back in the league at the time. And I just kind of fitted in straight away, and you kind of know. And I think if your teammates appreciate you straight away.
They did. You and Robert said that they'd hit the jackpot. You just joined in.
Well, but they had Crouchy as well at the same time.
Yes,
Crouchy played.
Kevin Harper was the other.
It came a bit later on, yeah. Right, okay. Yeah, at the same time, Kevin Harper, but then Cooper came right at the end as well. But you just kind of knew. It was one of the things where I'd get the ball and then the crowd would everyone just stand up. It's like
that is a Darren Huckerby factor, and it just the sound.
But I could feel that as well. Yeah. So it gives you a massive. To be fair, I didn't play any different than I played any other club because I did the exact same thing. So it just, I just got a bond with the crowd pretty much straight away.
How many games did you play with Crabtree?
I think he was only here for, was it 6 games on loan?
Because he enjoyed his spell as well, but it was a case of would we take you or Crouch permanently, and you obviously came.
I think Crouch was in probably a bit different place in his career though.
Yeah.
I think he'd gone to Villa and I think he struggled on it. Mm-hmm. So I think this was like a building block for him. And I think he obviously kicked on. Crouch was a great player. He really was. He's different from any player you could ever come across. He's 6'7", great in the air, but also he had an unbelievable first touch. And normally them two don't go together. Yeah. Normally, if you're massive, your touch isn't great. You're a bit of more of a battering ram, but Crouch was unique.
I bet he was a good laugh as well.
Oh, funny guy. Yeah. He's actually exactly the same now as he was then. He's like, he's doing well. We do podcasts and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, he just doesn't take himself too seriously.
No, I don't think he can when he's 6'7".
What made the team gel so well? You say, you had such a good camaraderie.
Winning games. Mm-hmm. Winning games, that's the most important thing. As soon as you start winning games, you get on a bit of a roll. The lads did like a night out, but we were very professional when we trained. Mm-hmm. Nigel made that clear that you're here to work. and I like that. So I think the players had a good rapport with Nigel.
Yeah, what was he like to play under?
He was great for me. He would basically just let me kind of do what I wanted, but in the fabric of the team, if that makes sense. So we were very organised. Defensively, we were very good. We had Gary Holt who would do everyone's kind of running for him. But I kind of had a free license to play how I wanted to play, as long as it worked for the team.
Was that the first time where you felt like you did have a free license and that freedom?
Not really. I think at Coventry I did exactly the same with a group of players that were well schooled, well drilled, hardened Premier League players, and I think I kind of added something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Of running with the ball, trying to beat people. But I think by the time I got to Norwich, I kind of 100% knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
So when I was a bit younger, I used to kind of make silly decisions. After you beat 3 players, you try and beat 4 and 5, and
that's the time to try it, isn't it?
It is, but also there's a simple pass on.
Yeah.
So after you beat 3 players, there's somebody standing there with an open goal. By the time I got to Norwich, I kind of understood my not my gifts, but I had to play the game properly. So, I became a lot more creative when I was at Norwich. It sounded daft, but when I was at Coventry and a bit at Leeds, the pressure was always there to score goals. So I'd probably try and do too much to score. But when I was at Norwich, I knew what was best for the team and myself. So, I didn't have to score every week. I could create 2 or 3 goals, and that would be just the same.
And that was such a successful loan spell. You really had that relationship with the fans. How did it feel knowing that was coming to an end? Because Man City didn't want you to leave permanently at that time, did they?
I don't think they were that bothered, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Why not?
And how come it wasn't there for such a smooth sort of process of getting you over? Because the magical unveiling of Darren Huckerby, was it Christmas Eve or Boxing Day?
Boxing Day.
Michael on the pitch.
I think there's a few things. Man City obviously knew I had a value, which, whatever it was, ended up being £1 million or something. My agent, I don't think ever thought that Norwich was a club for me.
As in, it wasn't big enough at the time?
Or it wouldn't make him a big enough percentage?
It could be anything like that, couldn't it? Whatever happens, Norwich weren't going to pay me as much as other places, which means my agent wasn't going to get paid as much.
Did that bother you personally?
Being paid as much, or
I know. Everyone wants to
get paid as much as they can, realistically.
It's a short career.
Yeah, but I didn't want, because I think my agent came out and said, Norwich aren't big enough for me and all this kind of stuff. So I had to come out and say, look, nobody decides my future.
Yeah.
I employ my agent. He doesn't employ me.
Well, a lot of the time at the minute now, you see the agent speaking for the footballers,
right.
And the footballers not saying anything. Look at Mino Raiola.
The game's changed a little bit in that regard, but there's no way that anyone was dictating what I was going to do. So I came out and made that clear that it's only going to be one decision, it'll be mine. But it's not daft, but there's still got other things behind the scenes that have got to be sorted out. Wages have got to be paid.
Yeah, and is there a story behind how Norwich came to afford you? Was there? It wasn't just a sort of straight. Was it fan funded or director funded? I can't remember.
No, there was one bloke paid for it. Carl Moore. I didn't know at the time, but I probably found out about a year and a half later.
Really?
Wow.
Inside Duffield, I found out at the time I wouldn't have signed.
But that is how much Norwich fans wanted you to sign.
Which is unbelievable from him. But can you imagine if we didn't get promoted, and then how would you pay back?
So you didn't know he was paying your wages?
No, I didn't have a clue.
How did you find out?
Someone told me on a night out sometime. He said, Cock. I was like, what do you mean?
Wow.
I was like, well, this can't go on, can it? It was strange.
Did you have a conversation with him about that then?
I spoke to him many times over the years about it. Because he probably changed my life, really. The direction of definitely my later life, the last 15 years. But it's strange. I didn't even know that kind of thing happened.
Yeah, well, it didn't really, did it? That is how much he obviously wanted you to come to Norwich, and Norwich fans were so happy that you did. And there was that unveiling on the pitch with Delia and Michael. How did it feel to come back?
I knew that I was coming back to a team that could win the championship. Nothing was guaranteed. I took a a massive gamble, really. Financially, a massive gamble to come back here. But I just had 100% belief in my teammates and the fans. I was just ready to go again. Obviously in that time I was away, they signed Leon McKenzie and Matty Svensson, so that added to an already good squad. So yeah, I was coming back to work. I was coming back to win the league.
Was it coming back home?
Not at the time, because it wasn't really my home. It was like, I'm a Nottingham lad. I always envisaged that I was going to end up living in Nottingham. But it just felt right. We're here to win the league. That's why straight away we come back and you just get.
We went top at, I forget where we were.
We're top at Portman Road,
Yeah.
Leon scored 2.
How did that feel?
It was his debut, wasn't it? Did he score 2 on his debut?
2 in his debut, yeah. I'd say I wasn't actually a Norwich player then, was I?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd already gone back.
Right.
And then we just, even on, after I came on Boxing Day, but even Christmas Eve, it was nothing had been sorted.
Wow.
So it wasn't like we had it all planned, like we was going to do a massive unveiling. We're just trying to keep it under literally until Christmas Day, nothing had been done.
Did you think it might not happen up till then? Or were you quite sure, no, this is what's going to be for me?
Yeah, because I had a few offers. Obviously, after my loan finished, I think West Brom were also trying to go up at the same time. I had a couple of Premier League teams that were sniffing about. I spoke to West Brom.
And that would have been closer to home for you then?
Yeah. I spoke to West Brom. No, not really. I spoke to, and it was Gary Megson, who I knew from Lincoln because he came on loan at Lincoln when I was a young kid. Yeah. And I just basically said to him, look, I'm only going back to Norwich. Mm-hmm. So it don't matter, what you're trying to chuck at me. I'm not going to try and negotiate anything.
Did anyone try and resist that?
Well, he just said, we'll offer you more money of this. I'm only going to go back to Norwich this season, and I'm only going to go back to Norwich. So I even said to Man City at the time, I said, look, you're going to have to sort something out with Norwich, because if not, I'm not going. I'm just going to sit here till the end of the season, and then I'll look at it again. But I'm not going to keep going from place to place to place. So.
And that move did come around, didn't it?
It did, and the sense of excitement in the city that year, because it had been a long time since we'd dropped down, mid-90s back to what was the first division at the time. Yeah. So, everyone really got behind that team, didn't they?
Yeah, looking back, I think it was a really important time for the club, because it's one of them where if it don't happen, then when does it happen?
Yeah.
When does it happen? Because everything has to fall into place. You have to have a superb back four, which we did have, and Greener. You have to have the players fall into place, and obviously I came on loan. You signed Leon, you had Croucher, Ewan's coming to his last year. So it has to fall perfectly. And you think if that didn't fall perfectly, it could be another 15 years before you get anywhere near the Premier League. So I think it was a really important time for the club, and that kind of lifted everyone's expectation, I think fans. Because after that, I think everybody thought we can get promoted again, whether it was later on down the line with Lambert, or you just had this feeling that the fans' expectations had changed. Mm-hmm. And I think from then it's been up and down ever since, hasn't it? As in trying to get to the Premier League, coming down from the Premier League, going back to the Premier League.
Why has it been so up and down?
Because we don't spend as much money as everybody else. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. You sound daft, but might be a yo-yo club for forever. But at least you're seeing the highs and the lows. At least you're seeing the highs of the Premier League. Some teams have not been there for. I was having a spat with somebody on Twitter yesterday, a Forest fan.
Not another spat on Twitter.
And he was saying you'll never stay in the top league. If you go up, you'll come back down. I was like, well, surely that's what every Championship club wants to do.
But we can all see what's being built, though, can't we? This model of self-sustainability. How impressed are you with that?
I think everybody else sees that as well.
Yeah.
I think unless you're stupid, you see that we're trying to do it the right way. Whether it'll be perfect every time or every season, maybe not. But at least we're trying to do the right thing.
And I guess it gives you a sense of actual real pride if like academy players coming through, and we'll come on to talk about some of the work that you did at the academy and some of the guys that are coming through. But going out splashing millions and then getting it success. If you've built that from the ground up, it must feel different. What have you experienced that side of things?
I would say definitely for the fans. Definitely the fans. Would look at it this way. We bought Wolfswinkel for £9 million.
That went well.
You've got Adam Ider, who could go on to be just as good. It costs you nothing.
And did you work with him when he was even younger in the youth setup, Adam Ider?
He started off when I was manager doing the 16s.
When did you know he was going to be ready for first team football eventually?
You always knew he was good. Whether he kicks on, you don't really know until they're in first team environment. But the good players always stand out, always. So, sometimes maybe not straight away because some have to develop at different levels. But a good player is always a good player.
Yeah, and coming back to you, talking of good players, so obviously you came back to Norwich on a permanent deal, helped and played a huge part in promotion to the Premier League. Do you feel that was when you then arrived and you were showing fans that yes, you are a Premier League player by then?
I'd like to think that they knew that already.
Yeah.
I think they knew that already.
But any doubters out there, were there?
That probably is. Always. Well, that's the nature of the game we're in. You know, some people love you, some people don't like you. That's it. All you can do is do your best, and it could be people who watch this thought I was rubbish all the way through.
I doubt that.
No, but all you can do is control what you can control, and I think if you at the end of your career, people look at your body of work, the games you played, and the goals you scored. It's there for all to see. If they like, you like. If they don't, they don't.
It took a long time that season for the first win to come, didn't it? I can't remember exactly, 13, 14, 15 games, something like that. How did Nigel Worthington kind of manage your belief as a squad then that first win would come, and you guys, because you've got a lot of draws. So
yeah, in the Premier League, fact of the matter is we didn't have a centre forward. We didn't have a centre forward. We had Leon. We ended up buying Ash in January, didn't we? If we'd have bought Ash in the start of the season, we'd have stayed up comfortably. I think we drew 8 of the first 13 games. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Which is ridiculous, really. If you turn 2 of them into wins, we stay safe, comfortable by the end of the season. So it was probably a chance missed, because at the end of the day we didn't spend any money. I think we paid $3 million for Ash, which, in the grand scheme of things, isn't a lot of money, is it? To keep you in the Premier League.
Yeah, of course. So that the rewards of staying in the Premier League are obvious. But he came in. Yeah, I remember now. He came in that break, the mid-season break.
Yeah.
Was quite a lot of speculation about him arriving. Did you know much about him as a player before he came?
No, obviously I played against him at Carrow. I think. I think he scored against us when Ewan scored his last 2 goals for the club.
Yeah.
Played away. He was playing for Carrow. You could see he was a good player. I didn't realise how good he was until we got him and got him fit. And that took a bit of time because he was not the fittest kid in the world. He'll tell you the same.
He's a big, strong lad, isn't he?
He was. You could say that, but he wasn't ready for how we trained. Literally, was not physically not ready at all.
Did you have to help him adapt then?
Yeah, we certainly did. We myself, Craig Fleming, and a few of us. He took a little bit of stick.
Craig Fleming giving out stick.
Yeah.
Really?
But the funny thing about Ash is, he came in. He said, "Oh, Dario didn't used to make me train Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays." I was like, "What do you mean? You're like 19 years old, 20 years old?" He said, "Oh no, he used to give me them days off, and I'd be ready for as long as I'm ready for the weekend."
Wow.
I'm like, "You're in a bit of trouble here, mate."
Good luck.
You're in a bit of trouble here because we work hard.
Yeah.
And as soon as he got himself fit, I can remember his first game. It was away at Villa.
Yeah, I was there.
And he did the warm up, and literally he couldn't hardly breathe. No, he said, like, this is the tightest I've ever been. He scored an own goal.
He did, yeah.
After about 2 minutes, didn't it? It was like 10 minutes. I'm like, good God, what have we?
3-0?
Oh, no.
What have we signed here?
Yeah.
But as soon as he got himself fit and realised, what levels he needed to be at, what a player.
Well, his first goal was the Middlesbrough game, not long after that.
Yeah.
The Adam Drury game.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it's my game because I set up 4 goals that game.
It was.
Sorry, Dan.
Yeah. No, but it was the Adam Drury game. Yeah. He don't score many, does he?
He dines off that one still. Yeah, it comes up occasionally. Yeah, so Dean, he scored and obviously then went on to score a few important goals. The header against Newcastle was ridiculous. It was from about 30 yards ahead.
And he scored a good goal against Man United as well. We beat them 2-0. He was just a good player. He had a good understanding with Leon.
Mm-hmm.
But just a real good player. Just like, I've played with some real good centre forwards, over the years, or been around real good centre forward. So obviously Dion, Goats a little bit, Alan Shearer, Les Ferdinand, and he was up there.
So that first season back up in the Premier League obviously didn't go to plan. Why do you think we struggled so much to then return to the top tier again?
Because it went the other way, of course.
Yeah. Truthfully, you're only as good as the players you've got. Mm-hmm. Don't kid yourself that if you've got a rubbish players, you ain't winning nothing, or you ain't doing well. That's what it's down to. So we sold Ash, which was fair enough because he wanted to go back play in the Premier League, and
but we got Earnshaw with the Ashton money.
Yes, we got. So Ash goes. Early comes in as a completely different type of player, and when you look about Ash going, I know the fans weren't happy at the time, but his career was finished 2 years later or a year and a half later. So that just shows sometimes you just got to take what you can because you never know what's coming around the corner. So then we got Ernie, who's a good player. We were kind of building. We were a few players away, and then Peter Grant came. Basically, 3 of our best players were sold within a week and a half or something. So Robert Earnshaw, Eustace Afra, and Dixon Tuhu went within a week and a half.
What does that do to the dressing room?
I was fuming.
Yeah, when you're a bit outspoken.
Oh no, I was fuming. Yeah, because how I look at it, I'm basically staying there every year, trying to push the club on, taking pay cuts every year to stay at the club, and then 3 players just leave within a week and a half. 3 of your best players. I think I was injured at the time. I was like, I'm going to go and do the press today. So that's when I did. I said, what do you expect us to, And I got a bit of stick from the Norwich fans saying, why is he coming out and saying this? Because, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of just losing good players. It wasn't like you lost 1 player. You lost 3 of your best players within a week and a half. Whether it's down to them or it's down to the club, it was too easy for players to leave. It was too easy for good players to leave this club at a time when we was meant to be trying to push on. At that time, I thought we was 1 player, maybe 2 players away from having a real good squad. As in, I think we needed a goalkeeper, and we maybe needed a right back. And we got John Assemble around that time. But we was a couple of players from being not like to go win it, but at least to be near the playoffs. And then you sell the hearty midfield, and the centre forward is going to score you 25 goals. And I was like this. I was like, what's the point? What's the point? I'm like working day in, day out with the rest of the squad, and then 3 players can leave within a week and a half.
And by speaking about it publicly, were you hoping for some sort of reaction? Or were you just
venting? I don't know, I was just venting, yeah. I didn't know what the outcome would be, but I can remember I was sitting there, and then I think Ernie went to Derby, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
He went to Derby, and then I think Saf told me, he said, I'm going to... Did you go to Southampton?
Yes, he did, yeah.
Southampton, then Dixon went to Fulham, didn't he, in the end?
Yeah.
And
take your word for that one, can't
yeah,
because he played in the UEFA final after that with Fulham. So I'm just sitting there thinking, how can what chance we got, or what chance has the manager got when 3 of his best players are going at the same time? And I felt a bit for granted because even though he did things that weren't right in the end, but it wasn't down to it was just because he wanted to do so well. But what chance has the manager got when 3 of his best players leave?
How did the other lads react to your? I don't call it an outburst, but
it was an outburst. It was an outburst, especially to the press.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they knew that everyone was going at that time. I think
they did after that.
I think I just laid it out of the bag. But look, every squad knows that you need your best players. So if you're losing 3 of them, we still have some half decent players, but from then on you don't expect to do anything if you.
Did it make you assess your future in Norwich?
No.
Why not?
No, because I would never have left this club on my own accord, ever.
Did you get any flack from the hierarchy for the fact that you were so open with the press about how you felt?
I think I can't remember definitely, but I think someone from the media bit said you can't say that. I goes, I say what I want. I've always been the same. I'll just say what I want.
Yeah.
If I think it's right and it's not bringing anybody else down or disrespecting the club. It wasn't disrespecting the club, it was more, I just felt for the manager because how can you build a team when you three best players go within the week?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's different to the way, kind of like Stuart Webber and they talk about it at the moment of a succession plan. So if one goes, they already know who the next one is coming out, and that
You
obviously,
didn't have that at the time.
yeah.
Yeah, I just want to come back to you and how your career at Norwich ended, actually, because you've talked about you played under Peter Grant and Nigel Worthington. It was Glenn Roeder who you played with, who played under when it did come to an end. How and why do you think you left Norwich?
Well, it kind of started in Peter Grant's last season. So at the start of the season, we're just doing normal training session. I felt something in my hip. And I thought, it's nothing. So I just carried on, and it kind of got gradually worse. So I didn't really start Peter Grant's last season because I was injured. And I just didn't know what it was. So I ended up going to see a specialist, and they ended up saying that I had a tear in my hip, well, in my labrum, which is like the hip joint. So I had a tear in that. So I just said I'll just inject it and carry on playing. And by the time at the end of that, Peter ended up walking away. By the way, Peter Grant, great bloke.
Yeah.
Real great bloke. I think he was dealt a couple of poor hands when he was here, but also I think the pressure of being a manager got to him a little bit, and he made some things that he probably wouldn't do now.
What like?
Numerous things. He wanted it so much, we'd end up doing. I can remember one game. I think it was QPR away or QPR. So it was definitely London. On the day of the game, we did end up doing a 2.5 hour training session, which is just like because he wanted. Normally on the day of the game you do 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We end up doing
Go for a walk, maybe?
We end up doing a 2 hour session, transferring games, so that people working really hard. I think because he wanted to do so well, he just made bad decisions, and that's just because it was his first job. He used to play for Norwich, and he's a great bloke and a great coach. But I think pressure got to him a little bit.
I vaguely remember now you mention it, and it is just a sign really that he probably just wanted it too much, and of Norwich having 2 games in quick succession and being offered the chance to move the second one a day later, and he went, no, we'll do it. We'll fulfil the fixture.
I've got a lot of time for Peter. He's a top bloke, knows his football inside and out. But the pressure when you give a manager is a different kind of pressure.
As a senior member of the team then, did you feel like it was your position to maybe speak to him and question some of the decisions he was making? I don't really know how it works.
At the time, no. When it come right to the end of it, because like I said, I was struggling with my hip a little bit. So by the time I came back, really, he was just about to get the sack. So it's one of them where I think I was actually in London seeing the specialist when we got the phone call. The physio said that he's actually left. So it's like.
Could you see that coming?
I think the pressure was building. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, you see it building, and then, like I say, it's not a very nice place when things aren't going well and the manager's getting a lot of stick. You know, we saw it with Nigel. He took a lot of stick near the end as well. Saw it with Peter, and then.
How does that affect the players, especially if you've got a good relationship with that manager?
The Nigel Worthington one was hard because he was successful. You know, did a lot for the club, and I think he got kind of handed out in the end.
Why?
Fans, like I say, it's probably expectation. If it had been South Africa, because if we hadn't got to the Premier League, fans would probably just been happy mid-table in the Championship, 12th in the Championship.
A victim of his own success, maybe?
Well, kind of, but yeah, it's really difficult. Sometimes a manager has a shelf life anyway. You can only go on for so long before you have to make a decision either way, whether you're doing really well and you have to go to another club to improve, or you're doing badly and someone else has to come and... I can remember when Nigel, we beat Barnsley 5-1. Can you remember that game? We beat him 5-1, Ernie scored 2, I think. I got injured at the end of that game and I didn't play again. We were second in the league. I didn't play again until Nigel's last game when we lost to Burnley. So in my head I'm thinking, if I'd have been fit for them games, he wouldn't have got sacked.
Did you feel? You can't feel guilty for being injured.
No, I did feel guilty. Yeah.
Did you?
I did. I played that game when I wasn't even fit the last one because we all knew that if we lost that game, Nigel was going to get sacked.
Yeah. And you couldn't.
Could made it kind of clear that that's what was going to happen. There was a lot of, I think there was Nigel out, there was marches and everything, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So I played in that game when I probably shouldn't have done, but I just played in it because I just thought.
You wanted it that much for him, did you?
Yeah, because he did a lot for me. He brought me here. He changed the course of my life really.
Was he the best manager you played under then?
No, Gordon Strachan by a good mile.
What made him so great?
He's probably one of the only managers where he actually cared if you got better as a player. Okay. Now every player who played for him has it improved. Dion, all the back four, even Darren Huckerby a little bit. He's the only manager I played under who cared if you got better. Every other manager has been. It's all about Saturday.
Well, while we're on managers, I just want to come on to Glenn Roeder, because you were quite vocal when you left about how you felt about him. How do you feel that he handled your time at the club and how it ended? And you can be really honest.
Yeah, my departure, there was bits in it, but my departure from this club should never have happened the way it did.
Yeah.
Not actually not getting a new contract, because that's football. If you have a year contract, you come to the end of it, the manager decides what's happening. But there's stuff in that final year that I don't think this club should have let happen.
Like what?
As in, halfway through the season, I got called into his office. He said, "We've agreed terms with Crystal Palace. You're going on loan to them."
Was that the first you'd heard about it?
Yeah, this was probably 5 months before the end of the season.
After everything you've done.
Yeah. And I wasn't in the team at the time.
Yeah.
I said, "Not interested. I'll prove to you that I can get back in this team." He goes, "It's already sorted. You just got to speak to," I think it was Warren was there at the time. I goes, "I'm not going. I'll ring him and tell him I'm not coming. I'll do that. I'm not a problem." No. But I said, I'll get myself back in this team before the end of the season.
Was he open to letting you try and do that though?
He didn't say. I just said that I will get back in this team before the end of the season, and then it's up to you to decide what.
Did you have that drive to kind of prove him wrong, or was it just for your?
I didn't have to prove him wrong. I knew what I could do. So in my head, I've not got to prove him wrong. All I can do is play how I play. He used to do like crazy things. He used to play me on the right.
Yeah.
And I've always played on the left, and he knew that I preferred playing on the left, but I didn't know if he was doing it on purpose to wind me up, or to try and make me look bad. It's kind of really weird.
Does that really happen in the game with the manager sabotage?
I don't know. Normally I'd say no, but through some of the things he was doing.
Did you have those conversations though and ask him why he was doing what he was?
I didn't think there was any point. Because if I'm in the team, I'm just going to get on with it. Because I don't pick the team, the manager does. But in my head I'm thinking, and I know that I'm better on the left.
Yeah. All the fans know.
And you say that he knew what he was doing on the training ground, or...
I thought he was a good coach, Glenn Roeder. I really did. I thought he was a good coach. I thought his staff were great. But as a person, that's where everything fell apart for him. Especially here. I don't know what it was like at his other clubs, but as a person and his attitude to everybody.
How did your teammates feel about him? Because you obviously had a very personal experience with him, but how did they feel? What was his kind of popularity?
My teammates aren't daft. They know good players and they know bad players. They know, I think I saw an interview with Mike Patson. He said, "I'm the best player he's ever played with."
Yeah.
And he was there at that time with Roeder.
Yeah.
So he must have saw me playing on the right. I trained on the left all the time. That's how I always played.
Mm.
And it just kind of I didn't know if he was doing it on purpose.
Did it feel really personal?
It did a little bit, but like I say, I'm a good pro, so I just get on with it.
So there's no way you could have done anything to wind him up. It just literally.
No. Literally, you ask anybody who's ever teammates him. I'm kind of outspoken. I don't. I say what I think, but there's no malice in it. I just crack on. But but that does happen. Don't get me wrong. That happens in football. But the way it actually happened right at the end. That should never happen.
How sad was that? Obviously, you put so much of your life and soul into Norwich City, and for it to end that way, how did that make you and also your family feel?
I didn't think it was going that way. I literally, even when I got to end the season, I got back in the team.
Yeah. So you did get back in.
Yeah, I was having an injection in my hip, but I could get on with that. It's not a problem. I got back in the team. I scored on the last day of the season. Yeah. We lost. We should have done, but we actually played really well that game.
It was a good day because we'd secured safety like the week before or something, and Hillsborough they'd sold out because Wednesday still needed to get something. So, you know, a sold out Hillsborough, however many thousand us, beach balls going everywhere, and you scored and we're 1-0 up.
Dion's last game.
There you go.
Dion's last ever football game.
But we knew it was Dion's
Yeah.
last
And
game.
you didn't know it was yours?
No. Literally, in my head, I thought, right, I'm back in the team, I'm playing really well.
The future was brighter.
Not brighter, but no, what was that, 31, 32? Still the fittest in the team by a country mile. So you
The
couldn't.
hip was okay at that point.
It was all right. Don't get me wrong, I was having injections in it, but I could get by with it. I could get by with it. And then so the season finishes. I'm still under contract. Literally, I'm thinking, well, they're either going to offer me something or.
Had you got an inkling of how that
No,
might go?
I thought I was going to be getting a contract.
Yeah.
Or I thought they'd at least speak to me about another contract.
Yeah.
They could have offered me, I'll offer you £500 a week. And then it's up to me to say, oh no, because I'm.
The offer was on the table.
Yeah,
like.
something. They could have. But I can remember, this is exactly how it happened. We were doing testing. I think it was on the Monday. We was doing testing. So I was actually on the running machine. I found out that 2 of the physios had just been sacked. So Rod, who looked after the young ones, Pete Shaw, who was looked after the first team, they'd been sacked. But he was calling players in at the time. So he calls me in. This was at 11 o'clock. I can remember. I walk in.
How are you feeling when you're walking in?
I don't know. I'm just like, I'm just going in. He goes, this is how blunt it was. He goes, oh, we're not renewing your contract. Thanks a lot.
No, come on.
Wow.
That was it.
I'm not having it.
No, that was it. Within.
What do you say to that?
I goes, okay then. And walk out. So this is walk out.
Did you try and question him about why?
No, no point, is there? There's no point. So I'm kind of thinking, well, that didn't go quite as well as I thought it was going to go.
Lads, guess what?
So it gets worse. I walk out, and also all the lads know I've just gone in. So I come out and said, lads, no way. It's like, and I get a phone call. This is at 6 minutes past 11.
I think I know what's going on here.
And it's my missus.
Yeah.
She goes, what's going on? I goes, what do you mean? I didn't even spoke to her. She don't know nothing. So she goes, it's just come on Sky Sports that you've been released with a load of kids. It came on Sky, so I'm thinking it's been set up on it. So at 11 o'clock, they're going to have that meeting, and by 5 past, it was on.
Were you fuming?
Yeah, I was fuming, but I was more angry that it didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to. You know, we've had 5 good years. I've played here twice. You know, the club knew what sacrifices I've made over the year to stay here. Yeah. Every year.
And the fans knew that.
Yeah, every year I could have gone somewhere else. On sometimes double the money I was on here. So I chose because, you know, I loved it here. I love playing for the club. I love the fans. And it didn't have to happen this way. Because I'm not that type of. If they pulled me in and said, look, we're going a different direction. We're going to do this, and this. I won't be happy about it. But just the way they did it, it was like, really? Are you really putting it on Sky without?
Why do you think it was done like that?
I just think it was done. I honestly can't believe that Delia and everyone else would have wanted it done. It's just not how the way they are. No. But it's how Roeder was. So I think they just tried to do it, wait till the season finish, and then try and just flush it put it under the carpet so no one really.
It's so frustrating though, because at the end of that Hillsborough game, Dion, he obviously got this brilliant reception as he went off. After the game, comes over to the fans where we are. But we were obviously all giving Dion the send off, but we were watching you as well, like a hawk. What's Huckerby's body language? What's he doing? Is he coming
and you
over?
didn't even know at the time.
I didn't know what to do. And the thing is, I didn't want it to be about me. I didn't. Yeah. But I wanted it to be about Dion because Dion had played 700 games. He was 40 years old. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Because I honestly thought that I would still be here. I thought they'll come to me and say, look, you're getting a bit older. You're coming to the end of your career a little bit. I'm not coming to the end, I was 31, 32. They said, look, we can only afford to give you this. Which they've done nearly every other year. And I've always said, yeah, I'll sign it. Not a problem. It's not about the money. Because it wasn't about the money at that time. It really wasn't. But it's not even... And then to do it the way...
There was no offer at all?
No, nothing at all. Not one...
Did you have a plan B in case that would be the case? Or you hadn't even thought that far ahead?
No, not even thought. And then obviously that happens, and the way it's happened, I still after that, I still had offers from a couple of Premier League clubs, some Championship clubs. But I obviously made a decision that I'll never play against Norwich.
And how upsetting was it to end it like that? To not get that farewell?
It's not so much a farewell. It was just the way it was handled. I was always going to be around anyway, eventually, because this is my home now. And,
great relationship with the club still.
It kind of like, it was done in a vindictive way.
Is that how you felt?
Do you think it was vindictive, or do you think it was just like a lack of consideration? It was, okay.
Is that not the same thing?
Vindictive's deliberate. It's.
I'm telling you now, putting it on Sky at 5 past and telling me at 11.
And for your wife to have found out on Sky Sports News.
Yeah, and I was thinking, it's even strange that she's watching Sky Sports. What's going on
Great
there?
channel, I must say.
I'll tell you what, if you'd been on Twitter, at this point, it could have been
So
interesting.
how much does that, looking back on your career at Norwich, obviously the loan spell and then the permanent move, how much does the end tarnish your memories?
No, not one little bit. Not one little bit. Actually, the season after they got relegated to League One.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think if I was playing, that would never happen.
Of course.
No, but
No.
in my own head, that's what I think. So I thought.
How did you feel seeing that? Was there a part of you that was kind of like, okay, look what happened? Or were you sad because of how
sad,
much
yeah.
the club
Really
feels?
sad. Because at the time I was still close to a lot of the players.
Yeah.
Shaq, Doc, Ads.
Must have been so frustrating to see it.
I think Ads was injured at the time, so he didn't play much that relegation season, did he?
Yeah.
I think he did his knee. But I speak to Ads all the time, and it's a club you love, and I could see it like deteriorating. And that's not just because I wasn't there, but you lose a couple of big characters in that dressing room. You lose myself and Dion, and I still love the club. I got season tickets from the day I left. Went and bought tickets for the next season, even though I wasn't going to be there
all the time.
because I was going to be in America. I didn't know at the time, but I still had season tickets. But like I say, just the way it was handled, it does happen, but it didn't have to happen because there'd been so much good in that 5 years, and I think I was well respected by everybody at the club,
Very much so.
apart from, it seemed, one person, which...
And he had quite a lot of influence.
Well, he did, yeah, because we stayed up.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, he brought some good players in and we stayed up, but, surely one person can't dictate how someone's treated when you've got a relationship with 25, 30,000 fans plus, Delia, Michael, all the other staff that were around the club at the time.
And that wish, obviously, to never play against Norwich.
I was just going to say that.
Just going to say that you're like, right,
We're
what
on
can
the
I
same
do?
wavelength.
Where can I go? What can I do? How did the next move then come about?
Because I was in I obviously told my agent that he was like not too happy about it. But I said, well, let's try and go abroad. Let's try MLS.
Weather's good.
Yeah, but that nearly didn't work out either because I don't know if you know the rules over there, but a team can own you without you even wanting to go there.
How?
I think I don't know if it's the same now, but the rules were that you could put like a dibs on a player. No, so Toronto so they find out that...
Shotgun.
So Toronto must find out that I was out of contract, and so you can do that every year. So you could put on, I think it was 10 players, and if they end up coming to the MLS, you own the rights to them. So I was like, right. So I ended up speaking to San Jose, which was Frank Yallop, who used to play for Ipswich.
Yeah.
So got in contact with him, and I said, I'm more than interested coming. But he said, but Toronto own your rights, so we're going to have to buy you off Toronto, even though I've no intention of going to Toronto.
Were you familiar with these teams at the time? Like, did you know much about the MLS?
I knew a bit about MLS, yeah, but not. I knew where the teams were. I didn't know who played for them or whereabouts the stadiums were or anything like that. So I ended up going to Toronto just to speak to them, really, because I had no choice because they owned me. And then I went to San Jose, and then San Jose, I think they ended up paying, $100 for me or something, which is like daft, innit, when I was on a free transfer. And I ended up going there. But at one point I was like, well, I ain't going to, even though Toronto is lovely, when you go there, it's a beautiful place. Yeah. Honestly, a beautiful place. But I was like, I didn't sign up to this. And I was like, if I'm going to go where I want to go.
Slightly different climate to San Jose, Toronto as well.
Yeah, San Jose is a lovely place as well. In between, it's like in between LA and San Francisco, a bit closer to San Francisco, but what a place.
Did you have to talk your family into that move, or was it something
They
that you
didn't
were
go.
really excited about? They didn't go.
No,
They stayed here.
Stayed there, but obviously how the season worked, he was back for Christmas. The 8-week holiday, 9-week school holiday was in that, so they could come out and have like a 2-month holiday there.
Was it hard having that distance?
Yeah, really difficult, yeah.
Was
Really.
it worth it, did you think, with what you were getting out of playing?
Kind of worth it. It's kind of, you don't realise until you go somewhere. So basically I'd go to training, finish training at whatever, 1:30, 2, and I wouldn't see anybody I knew till training the next day.
What would you do? Just go home and watch telly and just keep yourself busy?
Well, luckily it was quite nice outside, so
Sunbathe.
sunbathe, or I'd go and get a coffee. To me, the lads were good as gold there, so they used to have coffee club and lunch club and all that kind of stuff. But it was not easy. It's not like here where wherever you go, you kind of know people.
Yeah.
It's like,
Norwich is like that anyway, really. Isn't
Luckily
it?
enough, I got a phone call when it had been agreed. I got a phone call from someone saying, someone at the club said, just give this bloke a ring. I was like, right, that's a bit weird. He's an associate director at Norwich.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, that can't be. He lives in San Jose. So I was like, is this legit or what? So I gave him a bell. He said, yeah, I'm a big Norwich fan, associate director. I live near San Jose, just up the road. When you come over, give me a bell and I'll help you settle in. So I went over there, and their family really looked after me. I used to go around there for Sunday
Who
lunch.
was that?
Andrew Carrow, he's sadly passed away now, but his wife Sue, his 3 kids. I was like their 4th kid. He used to go around and they used to cook me Sunday lunch, and we used to go out for food. So that helped massively.
Do you look back on that time in the MLS fondly then?
Yeah, definitely. It's actually, don't get me wrong, I would have never ever left Norwich, whatever, on my own accord, never.
You'd still be playing now?
I don't think I'd be playing now, but I had a good 2 or 3 years left in there.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah,
easily.
Absolutely.
But it was nice to see something different. That's what I would say. It was nice to see a different set of teammates, because over there they were completely different. Here, you're at 16, you're in football. That's all you do. Over there, they went to college, they got degrees. So there's a different level of intellect in the San Jose.
Yeah.
But it was just all good lads. I really appreciated that I could do something a little bit different, because not everyone does.
Did that help you, being in a completely different climate, did that help you kind of get over how your time at Norwich ended?
You must have felt miles away from it all.
Felt miles away from it, but...
Did you ever get over it?
Yeah, and no, because people still remember it. Even now, sometimes people say, Roeder this, Roeder that.
Have you seen him since?
Yeah, that's another story though.
No, we're here. We've got time for it, please.
So, when I left, I came back. I came back and said, no, if I come, because I was obviously signed over there. I said, would it be all right if I came back and trained, in the off-season bit? And he said, yeah, no problem. I was like, okay. So even though it didn't go well, we're still on speaking terms. It wasn't like I just cracked on with it. When I was in America, my agent looked after, was it Dejan?
Stefanovic.
Yes, Dejan Stefanovic. Yeah, because he was trying to. My agent looked after him.
Yeah.
And he goes, would you mind giving Dejan a ring about, the club, about Roeder? And I said to my agent, it's probably not the best if I speak to him. And I did say, I said, look, I'll tell him about the club, but I said I can't speak to him about Roeder the way he is and the way he treated a few players and me, because he won't sign. And that's
you could have spoken to him, so actually maybe you took the moral high ground by saying you probably won't want anyone to
could have spoken to him. Yeah, so I said I'm not going to jeopardise the club signing the player by me not bad mouthing Roeder, but and I wouldn't have bad mouthed him. I just told him this is how he is.
Yeah.
So that was it. I didn't think anything of it. This was So I came back in the off-season, American off-season, and said, is it all right if I train? He goes, no, you're bad-mouthing me. I goes, I ain't spoke to anybody. He goes, your agent told Dejan this. I goes, look, whatever my agent does is up to him. You told him I'm not a very nice bloke. I was like, well, you're not, are you, really?
Straight out.
And he said, oh, you can't train on the pitches. I said, well, if I can't train on the pitches, what's the point of me even coming in? So I went and I think I trained with Lowestoft or something, didn't I? A couple of times on the. So that was that. And then after Roeder got sacked, I saw Dejan. So I speak to him. He goes, by the way, I should have listened to you. I goes, look, and I said, I didn't even say anything.
The irony of it was you were trying not to say anything, and it backfired anyway.
And the thing is, he ended up signing for the club because he decided I don't think he played many games, did he?
No.
Yeah. So I probably shouldn't have said don't bother. And it might have saved the club a few quid as well. But just little things like that. It's just.
So that was the end of the Norwich career. We talked then about MLS, and then came coaching. When did you know you wanted to get into coaching?
I didn't really, to be fair. It's just one of the things that just popped up. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed working with the younger players. I didn't see myself as a full-on out-and-out coach, if I'm going to be honest with you, because coaching's tough. You have to put in serious hours. Mm-hmm. But I like the one-on-one stuff. I like the being around the players. I like hopefully passing on a bit of my knowledge, my grit, my work ethic, my professionalism. I think that's what the players I work with, I think that's what they would take out of my kind of coaching style.
Did they show you that kind of respect? Like,
yeah.
Darren Huckerby knows what he's talking about.
Not just that, but a lot of times I'll join them with the training, and I think they would see that it's not there to play games. I think that's what they'll get. It's hard work.
Yeah, it's not just about ability, is it? It's about everything that goes with it as well.
You've got to have the full package.
Yeah.
There's plenty of players that have got ability.
Exactly.
And there's plenty of players who've got mindset who get more out of their abilities than people who've got ability. But I think to be a top player, you've got to have a bit of everything.
Yeah. And how did you come to work with Norwich Academy then?
I don't think I just came in a couple of days and then I got kind of offered a job with the 16s, and I ended up working with the 16s, 18s, 23s.
Who offered you the job?
I'm trying to think who was. I think Ricky Martin would have been here when I first got in, and then obviously the academy structure changed a few times, trying to go for Cat 1. But like I said, I enjoyed my time here coaching. I really did.
How did it come to an end? Because you were here for a couple of years. Was it 2017 that you parted ways from the
I was here for about 5 or 6 years, I think. They just wanted to go a different way, which I've got no problem with. At the end of the day, the club's always got to come first for me, mm-hmm. and it has been all the way through. So even though, don't get me wrong, I wasn't doing anything for free, and when I played, I wasn't doing it for free. But I like to think I put the club first in near enough every decision I've made, and that decision, the club thought at the time was right. So
how did they explain that to you?
Just saying we're making changes, and I wasn't the only one. There's 4 or 5 people went, and you just take it on the chin. You're not happy about it. I was lucky enough to work with all the players that have come through now.
Yeah, that must be proud.
Yeah, not just for me, but for everyone who was involved. Not just the coaches that are still there now, but also the coaches that have gone and moved on to do other things.
So if you were going to sell Norwich, someone calls you up and goes, Darren, I'm thinking of going to Norwich. What would be your selling points? What would you tell them about the club to sell them?
At the minute?
Yeah, right now.
I think the structure's as good as you're going to get at the minute. Obviously the fans. Place to live. I think Norwich is an absolutely great place to live. I've lived all over the country, and this is my second favourite place. No.
After Nottingham?
No. I lived in Harrogate. Harrogate's beautiful.
Okay.
As in,
it's not Norwich.
just a place to live. I'm not about. But Norwich is a very, very close second. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's safe. You've got the coast all around you. Traffic's not too bad. It's just a great place to live. So I'm here for good, hopefully.
So that's what makes Norwich as a place special. But what makes Norwich as a football club special to you?
It's a family club that I think definitely now. I think over the last 5 or 6 years, we've changed again. I think what they're trying to do, bringing the community together, even with bringing the ex-players back in a little bit, I think we're more one now than we've been for a long time, as in the players, the staff, the community, the fans. I think it's all one, and we're all pushing in the right direction. There'll be times when things don't go well, and you have a few games where not everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, but I do believe that the structure's there now where we can push on, and whatever happens, we'll deal with it all together. Mm-hmm. Not the football club will deal with it, the fans would. I think whatever happens, whether we go up or down, I think we're together as one.
So unity.
Yeah, it's like a family. I think it's more of a family than probably any club I've been at.
What makes it more of a family?
I don't know. I do genuinely think that probably starts at 2. I think Delia and Michael care about. I know they do. I think they care about the fans. They care about the players. That shows from the first day I got here to even now. Still, when Etty died, I sent Delia some flowers, and she sent a lovely note back. How much it meant to her. She didn't just that for me. She did it for everybody. Sorry. So, I think we've got the right balance between trying to be successful and trying to keep it as a family club. People say, "Oh, we need money. You need money for the next level and all that." If we had £1 billion owner, do you think we'd have the same atmosphere? Do you think we'd have the same togetherness? I'm not sure. So I look at teams like Derby and things like that, Forest, where it's been a shambles for years, and they've tried to go that kind of way. I don't think it's the right fit for this club. Maybe there'll be investment, people come in and add money, but I think the ethos of the club as a family club has got to be kept, whatever happens.
So we're in safe hands.
Yeah, but what I do know is that Dina and Michael care about every facet of this club, whether it's people that work in the canteen, people work in the offices, people that work in the restaurants. She cares about all of them, and I think that's a good thing. You don't get that everywhere.
It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the All in Yellow podcast, Darren Huckerby. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at Carrow Road soon when all the fans are finally back. Yeah,
it'd be nice when we can get back to proper normality.
Definitely.
Fans do make a massive difference, and let's hope we'll still be a top league when they get here.
Hear, hear.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure.
All in Yellow, the official Norwich City podcast.